I'm still feeling like I'm kind of in the space of figuring out what life looks like now. And so even now, just processing the hard stuff about moving. And as you gain new things, like through marrying the love of your life and like getting to see him every day, or spending more time with my parents and things like that, there's like letting go and a loss and many things too. Um, so, Paige, what would you say for you moving out to Denver? What's been kind of the hardest part, or like something you've had to let go of, or just recognize changing?
Yeah, I think mine was a little bit hard in that it was not necessarily a move I would have chosen otherwise. So I was a little bit moving because it being with this person was greater than choosing to stay comfortable. But I had so many roots in Dallas. So it's kind of like similar if you try to uproot a really deep tree, like it's just a lot more
Mm.
work and it's a lot harder for it to get established. And so I think I didn't fully realize how deep my roots in Dallas were, that I had so much family. I had, great friends. I had a job I was really liking and being mentored in. And so it was very hard to basically like pluck all that up. So it was like I'm starting over. In some ways, my relationship was starting over because we moved to being in person. Like I need all new friends, but I'm in a different stage in life. I'm building a business by myself now and I'm working from home alone. So it was just this like kind of big uprooting that was really hard to process. And it was hard because I was like, wow, there's like so many awesome things. Like you're married, like all these dreams coming true. But then there were dreams that had to die because of that. So, like, it was kind of a trade off. So I definitely went through a pretty substantial grieving process for like quite a few months that honestly made it very hard to even enjoy where I was because it was just having to kind of mourn this like previous life that was not going to be the same. And then once I was able to kind of mourn that, I think I had eyes that were able to enjoy where I was, but was very heavy for me. And that took a long time for me to kind of work through and get to a point where I was excited again about where I was. So
Hmm.
that was something I don't think I was like mentally prepared for, even of, oh, you're going through almost a death of like
Hmm.
what these things were. Because even if I move back, if we ever move back to Texas, it would be a very different situation. And I think that was hard because you're like, okay, I want to be happy. No one likes feeling sad. But ultimately, I think because I did give myself the space to do that. And thankfully, like my husband was very supportive about that. I
Hmm.
actually think it's allowed me to like start over in a good way here. So yeah, that can just be hard. And I think that happens with any positive life change, is that like it's okay that there's sometimes bittersweetness with it. And like not trying to rush out of that was kind of hard. So
Hmm.
all the fun things. It's not just unpacking boxes. But
Yeah,
yeah, how
like
about you,
letting go
Karen?
of. Oh yeah, I was just gonna like tag off what
Oh
you
yeah.
said, like letting go of that, because that was how I felt too.
Hmm.
There was a season like when I moved to Tulsa, it was also not something that I necessarily would have chosen. It was more financial necessity, um, and having unclear direction with my job and things like that. So when I moved here, I would kind of I wasn't in denial. It's like a weird way to say like psychologically in
Yeah.
denial. But I kind of had, to be honest, I had like one foot still in Dallas and one
Hmm.
foot in Tulsa. And I that probably didn't help with my transition to Tulsa. Maybe that's just how I grieved or tried to like process it, but I kind of thought I was going to move back if
Hmm.
just the right circumstances would align. And so I went back very frequently in 2022 to try to like see if I could find another path back. And the Lord had other plans. And he was very patient with me and my um, denial, my place of being in denial. But I totally agree with you, Paige, with when it's like, it was so hard to say goodbye to like that life, and not just that life, but like who I felt like I was in that
Hmm.
life, and the support system I had, the rhythms and routines of friendships that I had. And um, I I didn't want to like accept that things were changing. Like
Hmm.
And that's not like I was accepting it, but I had to like accept that even if I stayed in Dallas, things wouldn't have stayed the same. A lot of our friends were getting married, having kids.
Mm-hmm.
We all used to kind of live close to each other, like in, 10, 15 minutes drive to one another. Everyone was moving further out because of bigger housing and cheaper housing
Mm-hmm.
prices.
Yeah.
So just it became 30, 40 minutes to drive to see friends. People's job situations were changing. Kids were coming into the picture. And so the availability to hang out was just changing. And so I like had to recognize and accept, even if I stayed in Dallas, like things would have changed anyway. And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe God in his graciousness brought me to Tulsa so that I could kind of break from that and start over and not like lose friendships. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
still very connected and close to our family and friends in Dallas, but
Yes.
it kind of helped me let go of the way things were
Mm-hmm.
as single gals who got to like hang out every weekend and our favorite lunch spots or brunch spots, such good brunch spots in Dallas,
Yes.
places that we would go like, for a walk, hang out. Having to untangle myself from all that
Mm-hmm.
took time. Um, but it wasn't like, I mean, maybe things would have been easier to just be like, oh, we're just going to like cut loose of everything. But I wanted to maintain all those relationships and just figure out how they needed to change. And I feel like finally I've gotten to this point where I'm like, okay, not that we've reached equilibrium, but I've settled into this new dynamic in a much healthier way than
Mm-hmm.
when I was just like, I want things to stay the same, and it just couldn't.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I think that was the hardest thing because I felt like I definitely resisted as well. Kind of like almost had a hard time planting roots because I was like, no, I don't want to like it. Like, no, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to like invest in friends here or anything like that. Like, I had what I wanted. Like, I just want to go back. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think finally accepting, like, actually, if I look back, most of those dynamics were already starting to have change. So, like, change was coming for us no matter what.
Right.
And so I think, yeah, finally just accepting it and like letting things settle where they did help so much. So you just you learn so much about yourself when you're moving. And like when you're transitioning, I think that's kind of a cool thing about change and
Mm-hmm.
transition is it really kind of creates this lens that you don't see otherwise. Kind of like if you pull all the pieces apart of like a Lego, like you kind of see individual pieces a little differently of like, oh, I didn't know that's what that looked like. So I felt like that happened a lot for us as well. So Keren, what was something that you learned about yourself in the transition?